That Nintendo World Championships NES edition is your game of the year.
It is my game of the year.
You're not. Wait, you agreed with me? What is what is happening right now?
There's not much to compete with.
Welcome to episode 480 of me cutting off Johnny. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I should let you do the intro, but I was gonna say it is my Nintendo World Championships is my game of the year because I just learned how to reset the level without having to quit it. It's the bumpers, people. It's the bumpers.
Hit the bumpers. Hit the bumpers. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Well, Crawler, how's it going?
Crawler coming at you. I'm trying to get this S rank on the very first thing because I've done a bunch of A pluses and I've gotten a handful of other S ranks on the other first things and it's frustrating me. So I'm playing and I bought it twice. I haven't picked it up from Best Buy yet, but I bought it. I bought it twice.
There you go. That's it's good. Johnny, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I did not buy it twice. I have it twice. Because Nintendo actually sent me the deluxe version.
Yay! There you go.
Of the Nintendo World Championships.
That's amazing.
So I'll be doing like an unboxing on my channel.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. That's great, man. That's great. Well, before we get started, I want to remind you guys, if you want to get some streaming gear, n64josh.com/Elgato and use coupon code ZZ-N64Josh to save a little bit at checkout. And
did you buy it over Prime Day? Did you get
I didn't. They have a special edition.
They said it was going away yesterday. Did it go away or are they still selling it?
I mean, I know there was a limited number, but there is an atomic purple Stream Deck that if you guys saw my TikTok about it, you know. And atomic purple, man, that is that brings back some memories, that's for sure. So you can check out their site though. Again, just by going to n64josh.com/Elgato, that takes you right to the Elgato homepage. So check it out. Before we get too much further, I want to say what's up to Jenna, Crimpus, Smokin', Nady Nay, anybody else that's here hanging with us. We are so stoked to have you guys. We got close to starting on time tonight, and I was even getting harassed about it in Discord earlier, but it was pretty close. It was pretty close. So we're missing Cheesy tonight because it's his birthday, guys. So get on Twitter and tweet at him, "Happy birthday, Cheesy!" So he's out to dinner with. So that's why we're not seeing him. Before we get any further, Crawler, where can people connect with you?
Best spots are TikTok and Twitter. Nightcrawler724. Nightcrawler is without the E.
And Johnny, where can people connect with you?
I'm Johnny Bo everywhere: Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, the Communication Air podcast. And I did want to promote something. I'm going to New Mexico I'm leaving on Sunday, but I'll be there on Monday. I'm getting sent out to New Mexico for an event for the Borderlands movie. And I posted a video like on all my socials tonight. So if you could help me just boost those posts, because I always feel awkward when sponsored posts don't do that well.
I love it. Yeah, give them some reposts. I'll make sure to do that for you. And if you guys could take a second, I think you can repost on TikTok. You can retweet on, well, it's not retweet anymore, but repost on X and all the places. So that's awesome. Congratulations on that. Very, very exciting, guys. You can connect with me everywhere at N64Josh, and it's gonna be a fun show tonight, you guys. It's gonna be a fun show. Let's kick it off with Crawler. What have you been playing?
Over the weekend, it was a lot of building Lego. I built the Ecto 1 that I'm working on lighting, which is a pain. But game-wise, I picked up NES Championship today. I've been playing that. And then Kind of just some non-Nintendo stuff with just randomly jumping into like, what is it, FC 24? Is that what it's called now instead of FIFA?
Mm-hmm.
Just random
This is
matches on.
$15.
Huh?
Because it was $15.
No, it was free on PlayStation Plus, and it's on Game Pass too. But I'm playing it on PlayStation. I'm upset with myself because I got an email this week that was like, "Thank you for your $80 renewal of PlayStation Plus," because I had said I was gonna, like, when they upped that price, I was gonna cancel it, and I forgot to, and so now I have PlayStation Plus for another year. But you know, I mean, and Xbox is increasing their prices, so. When are we going to get that from Nintendo? I mean, I guess they did it once, but we'll see.
Yeah,
that's what I've been playing.
It'll happen eventually. Johnny, what about you?
I've been playing some pretty cool stuff, actually. I picked up the Turtles Splintered Fate game.
I bought that last night too, and I played that.
It was on Apple Arcade, and it came to Switch this week. It is essentially Hades, but with the turtles. So if you liked Hades, you definitely like this game. If you're a Ninja Turtle fan and you couldn't get into Hades because you didn't like the Greek mythology, and you like this game. It's like the same setup. You get all the you have similar like buffs and different attacks. It's actually really good. I haven't tried it. I haven't played with anybody. I haven't tried co-op yet, but it's definitely a roguelike that I will really enjoy. So I've been playing that.
Yeah, we'll have to try it together, Johnny.
Yeah. And then I've also been playing this really weird game. It's called Yeah, You Want Those Games Right. So here you go. Now let's see you clear them too.
That's what it's called?
That's what it's called.
Because is that that thing that you posted on Twitter?
Yeah, you know those weird ads that you get on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff? Well, somebody made them into actual like games. And that's all this is. It's just the mini games. And it's surprisingly good. Like it's $10 on the eShop.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna have to find the first one. I'm assuming the first one's on the eShop as well. But yeah, it's $10 and it's so stupid, but I don't regret it at all.
When you said 2, I wasn't sure if it was TOO or
no 2. Like it's a sequel.
So I saw. Yeah, didn't you post a screenshot in our?
Yeah. I posted a video of the like
the stick figures trying to
the stick figures trying to yeah. And I said this is better than Luigi's Mansion.
You did, yes.
And I still stand by that. And then I've also been playing World Championships. I'm sure we'll talk about it here. I have thoughts.
And you're also vindicated by statistics, according to.
Oh yeah, that was really good. So
yeah, go ahead.
On the Communication Air podcast this week, we were talking about like, does video game length matter? And we had a guest on Thunderstash Gaming, and he came with some statistics. And one of the stats was only 14% of people that start games actually beat the games. 14%.
There is a asterisk there because that's Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. Nintendo doesn't have the ability to kind of track a lot of that data.
Still, the stats are
still yes. I mean, I felt vindicated.
Yeah, I'm vindicated. I'm in the majority.
Cheesy was backpedaling a little bit there.
Yeah, Cheesy's the weirdo. Whoever actually beats games are the weird ones. So if you're out there, you're weird.
Wow. Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I was a joke.
Fair. Okay, well, we will jump right back into NES World Championship. I, of course, have been playing that, and we'll talk more about it because this is my game. Like it is a Josh game through and through. So absolutely adore it, honestly. But we'll get into it. I also picked up Ace Combat 7 on the Switch.
Oh, I almost picked that up.
And
How much are they selling that ancient
It's
game
60.
for?
It's 60.
it's 60, and the DLC is available, so you can get like the Top Gun DLC. And
But do you have to pay extra, or is it all included?
no, it's extra.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, really?
Yeah, I think you'd be in $90 to $100 if you pick up everything with Ace Combat 7.
Ugh.
So, but that being said, they did some magic on this thing, because like it's a solid 30 frames, right? It's not 60, but I was honestly kind of impressed by. I thought I was playing like an Xbox One game, honestly. Like,
5.5 years ago is when that game came out.
yeah, so they've had a lot of time to compress it, and it worked. It definitely worked. I was, like I said, I was very impressed, and just like it felt very cinematic. It didn't feel like I was like when I played Doom, and it was like everything is kind of like Clay Fighter, right? Like this just it looked solid, and it played solid, and was very impressed. There's a lot of people saying, like, because I was on Reddit reading about it a little bit, like to see if there was a physical copy anywhere in the US, and I don't believe there is. I can't find physical. The only thing you can find is UK. So I was like, well, I'll go ahead and grab it digitally then. And it uh apparently even on Steam and stuff, like the game is still around the same price based on what I was reading on those threads anyway. So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I also think some of the people assume, because they call it the deluxe version, that it comes with all the DLC, and it does not. I think it comes with some, but it does not include like the Top Gun DLC. I believe is $20, and then there's a few others that are like $5. So, but if you're looking for it kind of like, I was like, wow, this is kind of a cool addition to the library, albeit that it's an older title. Like it plays and runs very, very smooth so far from what I've played anyway. But getting back into NES World Championship, I I I picked it up this morning and started playing handheld, then immediately hooked it up to TV and started playing with the Pro controller, because I needed a D-pad, right? And this game is for me. Like, this game is 1,000% for me. One of our topics tonight is gonna be talking about like niche titles and stuff. And even though this game is packed to the gills with NES games, it's still, I think, kind of niche, because it's kind of this is really for the 90s kids.
Did
You know?
you read the? Hold on, I took a screenshot.
Of all
As
the,
soon as you
the
load it up,
titles
did
or whatever.
as soon as you load it up. Hold on,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up.
Okay. This is good. There's two opening shots, right? When you first
So
turn
it
the game on.
says between the late 80s and early 90s, NES championships were held all across the world. The obstacle of visiting the venues in person may have made it difficult for many of you to see these spectacles firsthand, and some of you face an even greater obstacle, not yet being born.
Yeah, there's definitely some comedy there. So we did find out this game was made by the same team that did NES Remix. And you guys were talking about how, like, because it does say, if you guys are watching this either on Spotify or YouTube, you can see it says ZLZR to quit, right? Well, because I'm like will forever not know what ZL and ZR versus what the R and L button are on the Switch. I hit the bumpers and it immediately restart my game. It would restart you right. If you're watching my gameplay right now, you'll see that, like, if I make a miss, I just hit the bumpers, and boom, right back at the beginning, it's counting down. And
Why is that not on the overlay? I don't understand.
yeah, that would have been, because I mean, if I hadn't figured that out, I would have, because you guys were like, I can't believe you got to quit out to the menu. Like, at the same time though, you get 2 points every time you complete, even if you don't beat, and those point or like 2 coins.
Yeah, but like,
and
Well, they add up.
they do, but if you play this like I do, like, where it's just like,
because
I don't like,
well, if people are watching the video, they think, oh, this video is just on loop. No, it's Josh doing
Being
it over and
neurotic.
over and over and over again. This is the very first Mario Bros level. It's the I think they call it the mushroom zoom.
Mush
Mushroom.
zoom. It says it at the
Mush
top there.
zoom.
Mush zoom. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's just doing it over and over and over again. Even though 4 seconds flat is his best, and that's probably a really good score.
Yeah, it's better than I got 413 is what I got.
I wanted to get sub 3. I got four even twice, and I was like, or sub 3. I mean, and I got 4 even twice, and I was like, come on, I can't.
S rank on the original Mario Bros levels are difficult. Like I just did 1-1 in 20, like under 23 seconds, and it's just A++. Like the S rank is, and I did the Mario 2 fall perfect to the door, and I'd have to go look at what my time was, but I got S rank on that one. But it was like you had to fall perfect to the door. It was 5.96 seconds.
Yeah. Well,
so
go ahead, Johnny.
Cryptic in the chat asked something that I'm going to preface this by saying I'm really enjoying playing this game. I think it's really fun. I think it's very addictive. I really like playing the Mario levels and trying to get, S ranks on those. But Cryptic asks, is there friend leaderboards to see times or records to beat? And the answer is no. There are no leaderboards for friends, at least. I don't know if there's any leaderboards.
There's supposed to be leaderboards, but I did see a tweet that said, I don't know who.
It was Grub. It was
a Grub, and he pretty much called him out. Like, come on, Nintendo. Like,
even with so there's a mode. Josh, I think, is doing the World Championship mode on the video, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say because the view looks different. I had to go into that mode because on speedrun it has like you side by side. That's the exact time I got 413 right there.
It shows how many players have done this challenge, but it doesn't show leaderboards. Like it doesn't show where your time is at. I think after the championship is over, like I think it ends on Monday, I think it will show like where you ended up in the world in the world. But it would be really nice to know like how close you are to the best.
I agree.
Best time.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean I'm really torn on this so far because it is fun to play. The challenges are really good.
There's so many Mario 3 challenges, Johnny. You're going to be very happy.
I know. I did all the Mario 1 challenges with exception of the very last one because that's beating the game. And then then I did most of the Mario 3 challenges. That's another. I'm hoping that since this has online functionality that they will update it because these World Championship modes are like weekly or every few days. And there's cup challenges too. So I'm hoping that they are going to continue to update it. Maybe they'll add new challenges. Maybe they'll add the leaderboards. Another thing is you can't play against your friend's ghosts. Like there's a survival mode, but it just pits you against 7 random ghosts. It's not against your friends. And there's no way you can play against your friends, which is kind of a letdown.
Those are all very valid points. I'm with you. Nate put in the comment section, I've prepped my whole life for this. This is what I said at the dojo when we got on the stage to play, and I had to play Mario 2, like the Lost Levels.
Wonder if that's one of the titles. Have you looked at all the titles? Are kind of funny.
I'll have to go through and check some of them. I wanted to get to playing, so I didn't spend too much time looking at them. But no, I love Kaizo, right? I'm not like super great at it, but I love like the precision jumps and doing those kind of things. If you guys want to know, my plan right now is to do a weekly video each time the World Championships resets with how to get the S score on each one. So throughout this entire run, you'll see me it took me about an hour and I got S on all of them. And I spent 20 minutes of that hour on Mario here, trying to get sub 4 seconds. I really wanted to see 3 something, but I couldn't do it. So, but this is if you are like me. So give you guys a little backstory here, and I've probably talked about it on the podcast before, but there was a time when I used to work in refineries, and most of that work consisted of like setting up a job and then sitting and watching machines as the metal cooked, essentially. And that's basically what we did. Different ovens and different heaters around pipe and that kind of stuff. Well, my buddy and I would do time trials in Sonic on GBA, and we would just do the first level, and we would shave. It's literally what you're seeing on the screen right now, and we would just pass it back and forth. Time trials on Mario Kart, always my jam. So the moment they add time to something like this, like my hands and my wrists started to hurt because I was and I geek out on this stuff. I'm like, if you turn Mario backwards, he seems to get a little boost in his speed. And so I'm like trying to turn, as you can see there, like see if I can, if I turn around and jump the Goomba, if it also like will change my momentum a bit so that I can try to hit the block quicker. And even that 4.03, like
That's,
I could not.
Have you tried to go from the other side?
It's slower. That's how I did it initially. Yeah, because you got to chase the mushroom. It's a lot of changing directions on Mario just slows you down like that. So
I will say, so I played a little bit of the survival mode, the silver cup. So there's 2 cups. There's silver and gold. Silver is pretty easy. Like I beat that the first time. Gold, people are good, man. People are really good, and it's kind of neat because you could see, like, you could have it set up where you could see all the other people, like their runs at the same time. You have a tiny little screen, and then there's 7 other screens. But what's cool about it is you could see how people approach the level. And there is the level with, I think it's called like escaping is key or something. The one with the mask, with the Super Mario Brothers 2 with the mask.
Yep.
And like the way it shows you to do it is you're supposed to wait for the carpet to come down, but you could actually jump onto like the enemies
Right
that are in the gap.
Yeah,
because I'm like, how are people getting to the other side already?
Right.
And I think that's kind of neat that you could improve by watching that stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So some of these hype tags we were talking about earlier, some of them make me feel old because like my parents are an NES generation. It's for the kids that didn't grow up playing these games just to call us out and make us feel old. But like I wrote my name on my games.
Yeah.
I did see that one. That made me laugh.
Parents hid my power cord. Who had game packs but no console? Did friends just buy games to bring over to a friend's house? Like,
oh, that was very much a thing.
Read every player's guide. That was what you did in the car ride home after you bought a game. Let's see.
The one I'm using is number 1 at something, probably.
There's one for Cheesy in here. Completed every game I got.
Love it. What really surprised me was the list of NES games. It's got Ninja Turtles.
It has every single game.
Yeah. It's very.
That's what makes me think. Like, I think they're gonna update. I think they'll update.
I hope they turn this into a franchise. Like, do a SNES World Championship and.
Because there's not many games, so there's
map dungeons by hand. If you played Zelda back in the day, that's what you did.
So, I got a few questions I want to get to or comments, but the other thing to think about, guys, and Nintendo announced today a charger for Joy-Con.
Yes.
Right? 8 years into this thing, right? And they show the NES controller. If you are playing this with the NES controller, I don't believe you have Z and L. I think you only have.
No, you do, because they have all the buttons
on the NES. I know the Super Nintendo does, but the NES is just.
I know they have there are little buttons.
Yes,
but I don't know if they have.
I think it's
maybe that's why it's only ZL and ZR.
I think,
and they don't have the bumpers. That might be why.
Yeah.
I don't even know where my NES controllers are. I think up on my shelf somewhere.
I actually have my NES controllers charging because I wanted to use them for this, and then I saw that thing, and that's a good point that they might have done it for this, but it's not coming out until October, I think.
Yeah.
And the other reason, which I think is plausible as well, is we know that there's a rumor that the Switch 2 has magnetic Joy-Con.
Yeah.
But if it is backwards compatible, then you would still probably be able to use your Nintendo Switch Joy-Con, but you won't be able to put them on the system to charge, so you have the separate charger.
Right. And it looks like it plugs in USB-C to the top of the charger.
Yeah.
This thing looks identical to the Hori one that I had. Like, it's identical.
It's pretty close. Yeah.
But it also comes off, so it's also a like a grip.
That's kind of cool.
Well, they did have a charging grip.
They did.
But it wasn't a stand. It didn't have the stand.
Correct. Yeah.
And it's sold out already. I mean, how funny is that?
Oh, it's sold. I didn't even know you could buy. I didn't even know you could buy it.
It's on the Nintendo store, but it says, well, who knows? It says currently unavailable. It says sold out in a big gray button, but that could be a default thing for a non-stocked item.
Yeah.
But
okay, so Nate here says, I hate that I need an NES controller to even have a chance. My muscle memory will not work with A and B on the Pro controller. So keep in mind that you can map your buttons any way you want with the Pro controller, and you can save those settings. And the nice thing that's built in with the Switch is that when you start your system, it will ask you, do you want to put your controller back to default or leave it on the updated settings? So that if you're not jumping back into this game with that controller, you can automatically have it bounce back. So I feel like they did some decent quality of life stuff there, because my preference honestly would be Y and B. Y to run and B to jump.
I use X and A. X and A is what the default is.
Does it still work on this X and A?
Yeah.
Does X work as B?
X is B, yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't even check. So
and I'll probably end up using my SNES controller, probably.
Yeah.
I haven't yet. I've just been using Pro Controller, and yeah, that D-pad is unreliable at best.
Yeah, you could watch, because it shows you your inputs at the bottom of the screen. You can see how many times like I'm hitting dual inputs, and it's not. Yeah, I'm not. It's just
but Zelda also doesn't recognize dual inputs anyway. So
true. Yeah. So let's see here. Cryptic says, do you feel like NES Championship has longevity and it's not going to feel repetitive after a month? Do you think Nintendo sustains the momentum of this game? So I think there's a few things here. For me, it's going to take me forever to be able to get an S on all these things. Like we talked about at the beginning, like, oh, it's only 13 games, but like there's a ton of mini games within each one of these things. So that right there is longevity. Brian immediately says, Nintendo sustain.
A month is a long time for any game to sustain itself.
Yeah.
I think if they do have these world championships every week or every few days, that will help. If they update it regularly, like maybe if they add not even new games, just add new challenges in the existing games. Because some of the challenges are kind of weak. Like I was playing the Super Mario Bros. 2, and one was like pluck a turnip, and like they're not that challenging. So I can see them just adding new challenges.
Brawler is either frozen or locked in on the game right now.
No, I'm just watching.
Yeah, so I shave a little bit off of my best on this run for Zelda right here, but it it's like what I really liked about it, it's almost like a puzzle game, because you're like, okay, what's the pattern of the way these Octoroks are moving?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like and how can I do this over and over again, right? And
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think what would have helped this game is they could have still had the deluxe version. Like they could have still released the deluxe version, but then they release like the standard version on NSO. Like if this was an NSO title, like a 99 title, I think people would really resonate with it. I don't know how many people are gonna put out $30 for it or 60 for physical.
Well, and this is that's a great jumping off point. Okay, so let's topic number. It was going to be topic number 2, but we're going to make it topic number 1. So, my question is this: are Nintendo's more niche titles helping or hurting the system in sales? Would you prefer more mainline games, Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, or do you like seeing the niche titles from Nintendo like NES World Championships, Pikmin, and Endless Ocean?
Well, Endless Ocean has its own separate set of problems, I think, with the amount of RNG that they put into it, the lack of kind of variable gameplay that you get out of it, because that game did not review well. I think that your tent poles are your tent poles for a reason, and Nintendo is kind of, well, they're 8 years into a cycle, but Sony doesn't have anything first party this year. Is that
Astrobot.
coming out this year?
Yeah, it's coming out in September.
Okay, so I mean, they quickly put together something that is, I mean,
They put
a
together a
ripoff of
Nintendo
a
game.
Nintendo type game. Yeah. And I mean, Xbox came out strong in their showcase, but what I think they have more coming out to Game Pass and stuff, doing better. But the fact that Nintendo can have something coming out so often is great for you. Don't have to buy everything. Johnny does, but you don't have to buy everything, and the tent poles are still there for you. So I don't think the smaller stuff doesn't necessarily take away from your ability to have those tent poles and have them shine well on the system. But I mean, the fact that they are putting stuff out at separate teams, they don't necessarily tell us what the teams are, but eventually, I mean, the games do come out. So I don't see it hurting anything. It's just, it's more titles. Pick what you want to play and enjoy it.
So I would love to say both. I want both. I want more of their tent pole, but I also like these smaller titles. I do think the time between their major tentpole titles is way too long. It's way too long. Like we had to wait 5 years for Zelda. I guess isn't terrible, but we're in year 7 plus. We're in year 7 for a 3D Mario. That's way too long. And before Wonder, it was like 10 years between the last 2D Mario. So what I would like to see is maybe they have like 2 teams or do what Call of Duty does, kind of, maybe not yearly, but have 2 or 3 teams working on one franchise so they could get more titles out more often.
I'm here for that. Yeah, and I mean the reason this game made me think about niche titles is because I feel like this is very much for the 80s and 90s kids. You know, Nate says Nintendo always knows how to make us feel like a kid again. And it's cool feeling it's a cool feeling to show love to the NES in our generation. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing with this title. I don't know, you know, I'd be curious to see, unless they're like, unless some of the younger generation are like super hardcore Nintendo fans, right? That want to um play with the clunkiness that is the very first Metroid game, right? And and even just the pixels of this first game here, like I, I I could play these, like I played this for an hour to get this footage, and it felt like 2 minutes passed. Like it was just so amazing, right? Just
And
so
there's
much
that
fun.
S tier on that level.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And so, but even like, having to do like half jumps with Mario, like
Mhm.
because I'm like I think he's faster on the ground than in the air, so like I'm trying to like it's just all. And then I'm thinking about the speed runs for this game, and I'm like, well, they always hit the flag low, but they did that because it got them to the castle faster than having to go down the flagpole. So I still think I could shave time off of my time with this just by hitting that top platform the best and being able to hit the top of the flag. But stuff like that, like I'm geeking out on. I'm like the dopamine is flowing when I pick this stuff up, and I don't know that that's going to be the case for everybody, uh, but I think it has its place, right? Because I think Nintendo knows that their nostalgia is like the nostalgia pull is definitely there. Our second topic is going to be talking about Pokemon, right? Pokemon is definitely fueled by nostalgia. There's no question. They still sell massive amounts of games even when they're loaded with bugs and they don't look super fantastic, like they still they still they still move. So it personally, I like these essentially filler games. I think what's fun for me is like, yeah, we have all probably I think we have all 13 of these games on our Nintendo Switch Online. We could go play anytime we want. But when you add this element of like mini game within a game, it changes everything for me, honestly. It makes me want to jump back into these games. And I mean, as a kid, as a a- as a kid, I would run through these levels all the time. Like this is what I did. I was like, I don't have very many games. How fast can I beat Super Mario Brothers? You know what I mean? So Nate wasn't joking when he's like, "Yo, I've been practicing my whole life for this." Like it's not really a joke. Like this stuff is just super super fun for me, especially with this title. I never jumped into Endless Ocean, but I'm sure there's a community of people that love that game that are having fun going swimming.
It still
Maybe
gets updates. Like it still has the community swims or whatever.
yeah, yeah. And so, like, it's like games like Tamagotchi Life, right? Like that game's super super bizarre, and like my sons, they never touched that game. My daughters loved it. My daughter was just playing it the other day. She fired it back up again. So, um, retro video gamer says the stairs is the only thing that slows us down. I know exactly, like when you hit the perfect run where you're like you hit the edge of each stair and you don't slow down at all. So I love that. But yeah, I definitely think there's place for these niche titles, but I do like what you said, John, that it's like maybe there is a little bit too much time. Now, with the 3D Mario, we did get Bowser's Fury, which was kind of a proof of concept for what we thought might be something more, and which was super super fun and felt fantastic, but it was also just a little add-on to a remake, and so or to a just basically a port.
But that was a nice bonus to have on that remake compared to,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, it
Yeah,
compared
was
to
and I
like
mean you had
Luigi's
the thing that
Mansion. Or,
is unfortunate is you had to buy 3D World to get it. So if they
but
could have done a
that's a great game though. That
no, it is. I agree, but like if they did like a standalone, if they did Bowser's Fury like that size game for like $20 or $30, that would have been awesome. Just as a standalone.
yeah.
and they also added online to 3D World, which I think was
Yes, it
like
did,
also shocking, for some of us when we
and it worked pretty well.
and the points that you made about this game about not having online and not having the ability to play with friends, like that party mode with 8 people online, like that's going to move this game, because I think at that point it's less about just like, I don't know how many people are as excited about competing just against their own times like I am, versus like, oh wait, we can play this as a party game, like online. Sign me up. I'm there. You know. So
Yeah, and I think going back to Cryptic's point about sustainability, not having leaderboards or friend leaderboards or online play with your friends, like that kills sustainability. A lot of people do want to compete against their friends. Like I personally, I'm not a huge fan of competing against random people online that I don't know. There's not much fun in that.
yeah, having people to do, it just makes it a social experience, which again, when you think back to those of us that grew up with these games, being able to, the fact that we could play this game right now on Nintendo Switch Online, as far like, Super Mario Brothers is what we're seeing right now. The fact that we could play this online with somebody is kind of mind blowing, because that was not something that was like,
And
even
you can
like,
play it like you're sitting on the couch with them.
exactly, yeah, not really something we often thought about. So or even had it, didn't even think that would be that was like, that was the future. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
wasn't something like we could both play.
Im-
Even that, it was 20 years later after this game came out, almost, before that became a reality.
Imagine if they had this at Nintendo Live last year. Like they were promoting like classic games in that
Yes,
retro
the
living
dojo.
room set that they had.
Oh yes, yes, yep.
But like I mean, I don't know. Nintendo has a tendency to like sit on stuff, and we don't really know when they had this stuff done. But I mean, that would have been a really cool thing to have last year.
I agree.
And I mean, hopefully they take advantage of that set that they have and shipped it over to Sydney, and they're going to have that here in a month and take
Yes, yeah,
advantage of that.
yeah. They're gonna have a good time in Australia. We are all jealous that we aren't gonna get to see it again this year, because it was a lot of fun. Well, like I mentioned, Pokemon, right? And I threw this out, like we've kind of discussed it a little bit. I talked about it a little bit on the Nintendo Prime, or the Nintendo Byte podcast, right? And I think the way I worded it is setting people off a little bit. But I said one of the Switch's biggest miss was mainline Pokemon games. What they do, what do they do to make them system sellers on Switch 2? And a lot of the replies I got in Discord and stuff were like, well, they were system sellers. And I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But if you look at the numbers of Pokemon games that have sold through the years, and I'll pull them up here while we're discussing, but like, basically, what do you guys think? Like, the game sold well, but both felt dated and riddled with bugs. There was a slight evolution in Scarlet and Violet, but still felt dated. What does Pokemon do to win to um to be the must play games on Switch 2?
They have to. I don't know. They gotta innovate a little bit more, I think.
Got to evolve.
Yeah, I mean they took that like 3/4 perspective, moved the camera a little bit behind you, but didn't change the aspect of it. I mean, um, progress the complexity of the story a little bit. I don't know. It that's part of, I think, what some people like about it, but like it's baby's first RPG, and it's I feel like it could be more.
So, part of the reason for this question, because I think a lot of people were getting hung up on it a little bit, like, this is one of their, take take for instance Mario Kart. If Mario Kart had not evolved, like Mario Kart is a natural evolution, right, of where you would expect it to be at this time. to the point that the game that the first game to be HD, I still have people like come into my chat sometimes and they're like, what do they do to the next game? This one's basically perfect, right? Not everybody thinks that, and I totally get it. And there's obviously things that could change, but or improve on. But if you look at Sword and Shield, and you look at Scarlet and Violet, and then you even put Arceus in there, right? Arceus felt more like a little bit more like a better progression than even Sword and Shield, and then Scarlet and Violet kind of added some of the same mechanics. But the biggest reason for this question is if you go to Gen 1, okay? Gen 1, now they do include Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which is 15 million units, okay? It's at almost 75 million units. All right. The next gen of Silver, Gold, and Crystal, and that includes Heart Gold and Soul Silver, is at 42 million. All right. And then Sapphire, Emerald, and Ruby is at 37. You know, Diamond and Pearl with the remakes is at 40. And so then it goes down to 24, 16, 25. You know, Sword and Shield by themselves are at 26, but they do include Arceus with it, so it bumps it up. But do we consider Arceus like a mainline game, like with these numbers?
I think they do.
Yeah, it is a mainline game.
But anyway, we won't get into it. But typically when I think mainline game and what we're looking at numbers wise here is when they do like two variants of the same same game, essentially, right? So and then you got Scarlet and Violet at 24. So it's they've still done well, but when I see the very first generation of how many units moved, like, and I see how many units moved to Mario Kart 8 because the game evolved, in my mind, if Pokemon had evolved the games as well as Mario Kart had evolved, I think we would see. I think we see it in the top 5, if not the top 3, this generation. But I think the conversation around it was more negative than positive most of the time. That
those trees,
those trees, yeah. And so I think some of the conversation that we often hear is like, yo, if they could make the games look like Snap, but play like Arceus, that would be something, right? I mean, Johnny, you're probably the most hardcore, or you know, the biggest Pokemon fan in the room right now. Like, what would get you like really really excited to see in a Pokemon game?
So I'm gonna take the positive route on this. I think your stats, I don't know how they are getting 70 million for Gen 1, but just like based on the Game Boy games, the Game Boy games sold like 31 million.
Is that including Japanese?
That doesn't include. So the red, blue, and green, because this is worldwide, right? They sold 31. Pokemon Yellow sold 14. Fire Red and Leaf Green they consider Gen 1, so they
Oh, are they considering Let's Go?
So they're considering. See, I don't know if we could consider like throwing all of the remakes in there. So if you just look at red, blue, and green, this doesn't have. I don't even see yellow on here. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so yellow has 14, but red, blue, and green is at 31. Then Sword and Shield's at 26, and Scarlet and Violet's at 24. So that's what I was thinking, because I know Sword and Shield was the second highest selling Pokemon generation, or not generation, like game, maybe not generation.
Sure. Yeah.
And Pokemon games if there were no Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch, it would not be as successful as it was. Like, people buy consoles for Pokemon games already. I do agree that they could have run better, but I do think they evolved the series with Scarlet and Violet. It was the first completely open world Pokemon game. There was multiple routes that you could have taken. You didn't have to do like the gym badges all at once. There was like bosses that you could go take out. Then there was save the dog, which everybody had to save the dog first. I think Scarlet and Violet, if it would have ran better, people would think that that's the best Pokemon game out there. I actually think it is the best Pokemon game. Just for all what you could do in it. But for the next generation, for next Switch 2, I want Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I want Pokemon Scarlet and Violet essentially but I just want it to run better.
Totally
and I don't think so. What I think will happen is, we got Legends ZA coming out at some point next year, which I'm assuming will be probably a cross-gen title with the Switch and Switch 2. Because they want to get a Pokemon game on the Switch 2 as fast as possible.
For sure. Yeah, and that always begs the question. If it's cross-gen, yes, they move more software. If it's not, will they move more hardware? So maybe I think this is a little bit better stat to kind of go with what I'm talking about. The number one selling game on Game Boy was red, green, blue, and yellow at 46 million. It sold more than the pack-in game of Tetris at
well, it's because people bought multiple copies. Like that's the thing. Pokemon gets to inflate their numbers a little bit.
How many people actually buy both copies?
I bought so we had all three in my house, but we had multiple Game Boys. But
I could see buying.
We had red and blue, and then
growing up as a kid, I had red and I had yellow. Like I could understand buying yellow because that was like the third one.
I had red. I also had yellow. My sister had blue. And I mean that's what so I mean it's just that's 3 copies of Pokemon for 2 Game Boys in the house.
Pokemon is doing what I wish Nintendo would do with their other IP by releasing more. I know it might hurt the quality for Pokemon, but Nintendo would probably make good quality games. But like we had Pokemon Snap, we had Detective Pikachu, we had Let's Go, we had Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, there's so many Pokemon games on the Switch. There's Mystery Dungeon, like there's so many Pokemon games on the Switch.
They also need to do, not that we pay attention to that right now, but like as a kid, Yellow was getting to play the show. Like that's what I considered it. It was like this is my chance to be Ash with my Pikachu. Like it was more in line with what I got to see on television. So like have more tie-in with the show, or make a show around it. Like find a way to do some kind of, I haven't watched whatever it is, the concierge or whatever, right? Like find
concierge.
Find something.
They have like weird games like that with like the puzzle games that they have, like Cafe Mix, and we'll have the TCG come. There we go. That's what I want for Switch 2. I want the TCG to be on Switch 2. I think that would be huge. I think so many people would play it on the Switch 2.
The right way to do Labo. For real, if you want to sell cardboard, have it tie in with your game on Switch.
Well, they have the app coming out this year at some point.
Yeah. And so I because I want to make sure that I'm not like I'm not saying that like I don't think the games were terrible, but when you go from the number one selling game on Game Boy to like they're still top 10, but I believe that they have that same. I believe Pokemon has that ability to be up into the number one spot again.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember Pokemon back in the 90s though. It was a phenomenon.
It totally was.
Like
Josh was too old for that though.
it was
A little
it
bit.
was everywhere. It's still really big now, but it's not like it was back then. Like it was everywhere. Well, I guess they still have movies, but like cards, movies, game, like it was just ridiculous.
And I think part of the reason that I bring up Mario Kart as the comparison is because Mario Kart's not really tied to much. Like, yeah, it was in the movie, right? But I think the game, I think there's a ton of word of mouth that goes along with Mario Kart, of just like of somebody picks it up and they're like, yo, I haven't played this since the 64. They go to a friend's house, whatever the case may be. Like I think Pokemon has that same amount of pull, but I don't know that when you're talking about Pokemon, are you talking about how amazing everything is about it when you bring it up to somebody, or are you talking about the glitches and the bugs and how you wish they had done things a little bit different? And I think that's the main part of my point here is like, what do they do so that the conversation that is being had about these games is one that's like, yo, this is a must own, versus like, yeah, it was fun, but I feel like, do you think it has some fatigue potentially, being that there hasn't been a ton of evolution? And I mean, when you look, like Crimpus here says, I think it's progressed a decent amount. And he says, I think the difference between Sun and Moon and Scarlet and Violet is pretty large, I think. So
Yeah, no, I agree that the quality or the performance hasn't been there. And Scarlet and Violet took a huge hit because of that. A lot of people did not. I think a lot of people turned a lot of people off. But I would put Arceus as top 5 game on the Nintendo Switch. It's fantastic. And if we could get those type of games with performance and visual quality, it'll bring people back.
I'm trying to think back because it's been a long time since I played it, but didn't even Let's Go, like, didn't it have like pretty decent graphics? Like,
yeah, but there was a lot of backlash because of the graphics. Like, I think it's a really good looking game, but go back to 2018 when that came out, people were not happy about it being chibi, or like that weird chibi style. It's maybe we'll get a lot of people talking is if it's an MMO.
For sure.
If we get a Pokemon MMO, that would get a lot of people talking. The problem with MMOs with that route is like, how do you sell it to kids? Because Pokemon has a large base of children.
I think it's very doable, and it wouldn't necessarily, like, it's almost one of those scenarios where like they could make the game like Arceus, where you could just run around and catch your Pokemon and stuff, but then the adult audience or whatever that's wanting to play it, or the older the older kids, whatever, like, have those missions and those things like that, to where it's like there's more to do there.
Here's a question. I don't know if neither of you have played Power World, right?
No.
So when Power World came out, that was this year. It feels like it came out forever ago, but it came out in January of this year. Like, I don't know why that was as successful as it was. Was it because
as soon as I realized it was more of a tree puncher, I was like,
yeah, but they marketed it as Pokemon with guns, right?
Well, I think the community did that for them.
I think they did that too. I think they leaned into it, but like, is that what the community wants? So they want like a more mature, because that's a survival game. I don't think people want a survival game. but they want like a more mature tone. I don't like how you have to play as a kid every time, like you're a 10-year-old child. Like I don't like doing that anymore because I'm not a 10-year-old child. So if they aged up the player or let you choose your age, graphics were better on Pal World. It ran better.
Which I think a lot of problems get
It-
solved here in a new version of Switch. I mean, it will perform graphically better. It'll look better. It will hopefully just be better. But that team at Pokemon Company needs to
learn how to make a
console game.
console game. Yeah,
Unfortunately,
they got to like co-op Monolith Saw, and
yeah.
Here's from
I
the
agree, Josh. I think Pokemon can be that big again. It's already huge. It's already still big.
yeah.
But to like take over the world like it did back in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, Fortnite did what Pokemon did in the 90s, right? Like it's hard to catch that lightning in a bottle twice. There's no question. Jake from Snake Farm says, "I want a Pokemon world where I can pick a region I want to start in, and then I can visit each other region once you become the champion of each region." Yeah, and I think there's something to that even, right? To where it's like it's less about like I'm just doing the same gyms, I'm doing the same like they add some story elements. Don't get me wrong, but it's like at the bones of the game, they pretty similar most of the time. And then you get your master ball at the end, and then you can go catch your legendary and like right. I mean, to
Yeah.
a certain extent, like it's very. I mean, it's almost like the like go rescue Princess Peach. You know what I mean? Like, and then they finally started mixing that up, so it's different now. So like, and I again I feel like this might come off like 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 attacking it, or like I'm trying to be negative about it. Like I'm more curious, especially from like longtime fans, like how do they make, like what do they need to do to make this like the must own title? I mean, they got me with Let's Go. Let's Go made me buy Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet and Arceus.
True. That
Let's
got me back into Pokemon as well because it was Gen 1. It was something I knew, recognized. I didn't play Gen 2. Was Gen 3 Ruby? Is that Gen
Yeah.
3?
Yep.
As
Ruby
soon
and
as like,
Sapphire.
and I picked it up for my GBA, but like I knew the 151, and when I started seeing all these other Pokemon, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I fell off of it. And even when I was playing Pokemon on these last couple, like I didn't need it as much for Let's Go, but for Sword and Shield and for um, Scarlet and Violet, I play at my desk here. I have my computer open and I have the rock paper scissors wheel up in front of me, and if it's so and so is about to send out so and so, and I have no clue what that is or what that does, I Google it, and I'm on a Pokemon site, and I have no qualms about that. But like that is how I have to play this because it's what 1,000 something Pokemon now, like
It's over 1,000.
so. And people get upset every time that their Pokemon, their favorite one, is not included in the game. So whoever said it, where I want to go from region to region, that's the next kind of iteration that they need to kind of make. They have all these regions that are interconnected within their world. They could even have some fun nods to Rhyme City or whatever, right? Isn't that what the name of the city in
Oh yeah,
Let's
Detective
Go,
Pikachu.
or in Detective Pikachu? Like find some fun ways to just get that stuff in there, and have it be you again, like I was saying with Yellow, you get to play out how Ash kind of went out. Like he went around region to region to region following the games, but like get to be the Pokemon Master and go from one region. You're that champion. You move on to the next one, and you get to just collect all these badges. Like have because didn't Ash have like a just a look like a general in the inside of his vest, just with all the badges that he had? Is
I
that
don't
where
know.
he's?
I don't
I
remember.
don't know.
I didn't really watch I watched the anime when I was a kid.
But I mean, yeah, find a way to kind of refresh that. I feel like it's good that they probably took some time off. I feel like they missed an opportunity to have another development studio kind of redo Gold and Silver. I mean, because isn't that what people want? Gold and Silver or Black and White?
Black and White is next for the remake. But I wouldn't mind going back to Gold and Silver is my favorite gen. That's the one I remember the most. I used to love those games.
What did the community like? Josh and I both played Diamond and Pearl in the new not remaster, but the new format that they put out on Switch. What did the community have problems with that again, Johnny?
It was boring.
Josh,
I don't know what else to say. It was
Josh
boring.
played it. He enjoyed it.
I couldn't put it down.
No, I mean, I think
It was boring.
People didn't like the graphic style. It was chibi. They didn't like chibi.
I thought it was a good throwback nod. Like it looked like a nice version of what you played on GBA.
But it's also like it's the vocal minority that you're hearing. Yeah, there are definite qualms with Scarlet and Violet and Arceus. Like Arceus was considered ugly. It's a lot of mud. So
it was, yeah.
I
just didn't like how segmented Arceus was.
I loved
and anti-battling. Like it was just weird.
I loved Arceus for like the catching mechanics, and then they took it away in Scarlet and Violet. They didn't have the same catching mechanic, which I don't know why. That would have been better to have. The like shiny hunting in Arceus was super fun. It made the little jingle, and it was easy. So I have a ton of shinies. Pokemon, like I think I'll be biased toward Pokemon because I grew up with it. I played it throughout all of the years. And it was one of the games, like I stopped playing when I was in high school, but it was one of the games when I came back to like Nintendo that was Pokemon was there. And I'm like, yeah, I love this game.
So Pokemon was the #1 selling game on Game Boy. Pokemon was the 1, 2, and 3 spot. Number 4 being Mario Kart Super Circuit on GBA. Right? But
and also on 3DS, I think too.
Yeah, and I haven't gone through all the numbers. Mario Kart number 4, right, against Pokemon titles. We have to remember, we're talking about how do they evolve essentially a JRPG into an action RPG while still having that same feel. Like it's really not an easy task if you think about it. At the end of the day, like those games sold so well, and those like the developers knew those systems. They were easy. It wasn't on your like they were. I say easy. I mean loosely, but compared to like development for what they're doing now versus what things were then, they had a very clear formula that was working. They could repeat it over and over again. Now they're trying to take risks and move this series along. And you know, we've often wondered like why wasn't there 2 versions of Arceus? I think it was a proof of concept. Like they were just making sure people kind of liked it. You know what I mean? Like that. Like,
well,
I wonder if Legends.
Za's not going to have 2 versions, is it?
I don't know. I think it's going to be Z and A. Like
That's
I don't think there's going to be one version. It's going to be Z and A.
Yeah. Probably like an alpha.
But even Arceus, I think, sold 14 million copies.
It did, yes. Yeah. It did well. So it's not like, and again, I probably should have like prefaced it a little bit different. It's just more about like what could they do to take over the number 1 spot? again, because it's a great thing to be fighting for on their part, going against the likes of Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, The Legend of Zelda, Animal Crossing, right? Like, it's not that it isn't in top 10, it's there, but like,
what I'm thinking, you know how Zelda, they completely overhauled for Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild was a completely new direction, and it just hit. It just hit. It's what people wanted. And I think an MMO could do that for Pokemon. I don't know how they'll get it to work.
Yeah.
But hopefully the Switch 2 is powerful enough to offer that, because it would be cool. I mean, there's so many regions now. I don't know if they could do every region, but we know some of these regions are next to each other. Like, or you could at least travel. Like in Gold and Silver, you went back to Kanto, which is the red, blue, and yellow region. So they could do something like that. They have a few regions that you could travel across, and then the next iteration will be the next regions. I don't know if they'll take that risk though.
Even something MMO light, kind of like Destiny, where like the three of us could go and do like essentially like missions or strikes together, or like, you know,
They
more,
kind of have that a little bit with like the raids. They have some raids.
Yeah.
You can like explore an area with people.
Yeah, they dip
In
their toes
Scarlet
in a
and
little bit.
Violet. What?
They dip their toes in.
Yeah.
Like, they
So I
started
think we're getting closer
Yeah.
to, because they have to know that people want an MMO. They have to know. I mean, there's Temtem, which is a Pokemon clone,
Right.
and that is an MMO. I think they shut that down though. But
So,
Pokemon would not shut down. All right, Pokemon would be fine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at all the spin-offs that we've got with like, you know, what's the Unite, right? And
Yeah, Unite.
You know,
Unite is still, they're still getting updates for Unite. I would
Yeah.
love to see another Pokken game, like the fighting game.
Yep.
Even like I know I say I hate the Warriors games, but a Pokemon Warriors game would be cool.
Yes. Yeah, could you imagine just throwing out different Pokemon and then
Just like Pikachu going to town on
right? Yeah.
100 Rattatas.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. That'd be super great. Super great.
But
Well,
if they could get like Scarlet and Violet to work, like to run better, to look better, if that's what the next generation is, I think people would be happy. I would love to see them take risk, but if they just make it run, maybe that's the grift, you know. They made all these games on the Switch run like trash. So when one comes out that actually runs decently, everybody's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, maybe
it's the best game ever.
That could be. That could be. Well, we have one more topic, but I'm actually going to leave it for next week because I think it'll be a lot better with Cheesy. And so we're gonna wrap it up right there. But I just want to say thanks to everybody that is here with us live. If you're listening after the fact, we love you. We think you guys are amazing, and continue this conversation, guys. If you want to add to it, the Players Pulse area in the Discord, you can tweet at all of us, and we would love to keep the conversation going. Thanks.
Follow Johnny for his adventures this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be in New Mexico. That should be a good time. I'll be posting pictures and videos.
And Josh and I are confirmed to be going to PAX this year, so we'll be bringing you some coverage from there here in about a month and a half, month and a half.
Month and a half.
So that'll be fun.
It will be. So thank you guys so much for everything. We will see you in the next one. Bye now.